Well, good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you. Apologize about my voice. I'm not feeling well, but I insisted to be in this webinar, hosting it alongside Rupam, who was looking forward to meet with. We welcome you to this edition of the monthly webinar, which is hosted in collaboration between Knowledge Group and GoLearning. Today's topic will be about digital transformation with AI. And we're going to look at trends that are going to shape the future across industries. Our speaker today, I'm very pleased to welcome Ropham. I would dare to try it and pronounce your last name, Bhattacharjee. Hope this is correct.
Yeah.
Ropham is an esteemed data analytics expert. So the kind of people who look into data, they analyze it, and they can create, future foresight using the data of the present and the past. He's celebrated globally. He's for his innovative approach in the field of data analytics. He's also a co-founder and the CEO of Ways Ahead Global, which is a prominent data analytics firm which based in Singapore. He's worked on several groundbreaking projects and transformative initiatives and has an extensive background in data-centric innovation. And he understands the pivotal role that data plays in the success of any business venture. He's been an advocate for data-driven decision-making, and he has garnered profound insight into how data analytics can be a decisive factor in either propelling forward an organization towards the future or holding it back. He has 20 plus years experience, as you can tell from his looks and mine that we are old, but we don't look old, but we are actually. We have plenty of years of experience. But he has experience in this cutting edge settings, and this experience actually has provided him invaluable insight into how to harness the power of data-driven analytics across multiple domains and industries. I know that Rupam has been at the forefront of leveraging data analytics to drive business growth and achieving efficiency, or whether it's operational or whether it's strategic. We are very happy to have Rupam here today, who's talking about the future of AI and the transformation it's bringing forward. I would like to say a couple of words about our hosts. Knowledge Group is a consulting firm. It's been in the market for about 18 years. They're well known for their learning and development, as well as talent development and HR consulting practice. Our second host is GoLearning. GoLearning is probably the first platform of its kind in the region. It offers a comprehensive catalog of more than 10,000 focused pro courses that are suitable for professionals and for professional development and personal development. In partnership with global edtech leaders such as Coursera, edX, and Busuu. The platform actually supports diverse learning styles and goals, and it's powered by advanced AI algorithms for personalized experience. You can access the platform from your desktop, from your mobile, and it provides users with more than 10,000 courses and certifications from renowned institutions. Of course, their special focus is on AI and technology. GoLearning they have probably many models where you can subscribe. They have a freemium model where users can access up to 4,000 courses completely for free. And you can pay for individual premium courses or subscribe to one of the packages, which starts on only 25 dirhams per month, with flexibility to cancel anytime, which is always great. The platform itself is powered by an AI engine and leads innovation and personalized learning for the region. This platform, it offers, first of all, the freedom to choose courses or subscribe monthly, presenting a vast array of learning opportunities. It uses the power of AI to personalize your learning journey. It has an expansive catalog of over 10,000 courses, as we mentioned earlier, and more than 3,000 free courses. Uh, Cutting edge, of course, setup, facilitating learning at your convenience regarding of the time and the place where you decide to learn. Users can also enjoy unrestricted access to the entire catalog through convenient monthly subscription, free from any contractual obligations. As we can see that there are skills of the month that GoLearning have available for all of you. You can just scan the barcode at the bottom in order to subscribe to and sign up for GoLearning. And I think the only thing that remains to say that GoLearning is an e-and organization. So the very well-known Etisalat company, or Etisalat and now, is the parent of GoLearning, producing these education to the region. Without further ado, I apologize for taking that long, but I hand over to Rupam, who's going to take us through a journey in AI leadership, in AI transformation. Thank you, Rupam.
Thanks, Rabi. And I welcome you all to this session, a short one, but we will try to make it as informative and useful for you. And the topic is definitely close to my heart, talking about digital transformation and AI applications. And we have a lot of, discussions that we can do today. And definitely what we are going to do is we are going to also, at the end of this particular session, so you are free to put your questions in the chat window, and I will try to take as much as possible. So without any further delay, so let me jump on to the topic. So we are talking about AI, artificial intelligence. So we need to understand that, okay, how it all started, where it all started. And AI is not new. If I may just show you a glimpse of how it all started. I mean, we all know AI from 2020, 2022 onwards. November 2022 is when actually artificial intelligence was brought to public in the form of GPTs and all these things. But it all started way back in 1950s, rather to say. And I would say that, okay, it might have started beyond that as well, during the world wars as well. If you remember Turing and Enigma and all these things, they were a part of the early artificial intelligence systems. But what I'm looking at over here is that, okay, there are very prominent projects that were taken in this particular 50, 60 years or 70 years that we can see over here. So AlphaGo is one of those major projects that were taken. Then we have Japan, who has actually started all these projects way back in 1970s. Even DeepMind is a powerful tool today. And when we talk about IBM Watson, that is also one of the major AI, I would say servers or major AI projects that is taken by IBM actually. Now, during this particular session, so we will talk about the four primarily pillars that, okay, where this AI is being used today. So there are many such, places where AI can be used. But we will take you through these 3-4 sections primarily. The first is definitely talking about AI in the retail domain. So, this brings me to a very simple and very useful topic as well. See, today, whatever you see around you is retail. Starting from morning when we get up till night when we sleep, everything touches retail in some way or the other. So, which means that a lot of data is being churned from this particular sector. And AI is working, and it's going in a very, very significant way when we talk about the retail industry. Today, we are talking about using artificial intelligence in retail to target our customers. because that's the way we can get more, I would say, sales and revenue. During this particular session, it's not only about retail, we will also talk about finance, how finance is, this is one of the most important pillars of any business. So finance is also moving towards digital transformation, and they are actually leveraging on the power of artificial intelligence. I will talk about that in detail during this particular session. So please be with me, and definitely please ask your questions also from time to time, and I will try to answer as much as possible during this particular session. So thanks to GoLearning for bringing us all together in this forum. I can see a great attendance. So moving further, we will talk about supply chain management. So when we talk about retail, so definitely supply chain comes into picture as well. So without supply chain, you cannot move any materials from one place to another. So there is concepts of route planning, there is concepts of optimization of your inventory. These all things comes under supply chain management, and it is being driven by AI. I will give you some very simple and effective use cases also when it comes to supply chain as well. And then one of, again, my favorite topic, which is healthcare. So how AI, artificial intelligence, is actually transforming healthcare, that also we will learn and see a glimpse in this particular short webinar actually. Now, when we talk about artificial intelligence, so we should understand one important thing over here, that AI is a broader term. So in AI, we have multiple other terminologies also. One of the terminology that we use is machine learning. We call it as AIML. AIML we call it. And there is another subset, we call it as DL, which is deep learning. So these are the two major things that we need to understand when we talk about, anybody talks about AI and its application across industries. So when I say machine learning, it is being used today rapidly in retail, and also deep learning is being used. So just to give you a perspective, so the chat GPTs that you see today, the perplexities of the world that you see today, they are all deep learning models. So deep learning models means the models which learn by its own. You don't have to make it learn, or you don't have to actually feed details or data every day. It will learn of its own. And I'll show you, and I'll give you some of the examples in finance and healthcare also, how AI in form of deep learning is being used. Machine learning, on the other hand, what happens is, see, machine learning, it's very simple. Why we are using machine learning? Because, if you want, we can use computation also, regular computation also, but we are using machine learning so that it can be done at a faster speed and with huge amount of data. That's where we use machine learning, which means that the output of the machine learning, we understand, we know that what will be the output of the machine learning. But what will be the output of the deep learning, we do not know that. So that's the parameters. So I'll just give you an example. Deep learning, you can think it from your brain's perspective, the neurons. How these neurons will be connected, we don't know. And based on the neurons, the spark in the neurons, we talk, we see, we feel, we touch. So that's what deep learning is all about. It learns of its own. But machine learning, I know that, okay, if I run an algorithm, I will be able to get either yes or no. Either we can get a steady state or different state kind of things. If we apply, either we apply machine learning or we apply deep learning, so all these segments that we are going to discuss today has got an impact primarily. Take an example of retail. So retail, today what happens is, if you see today, we have retail, physical stores also, and we do have our e-commerce stores also. If you talk about Talabat, if you talk about Noon, if you talk about Amazon. So let's say they have some of them, they have stores in brick and mortar, and some of them also have e-commerce stores also. So online and offline. So today's world, we have coined a separate word for today's world. We call it as phygital. So it is more called as physical plus digital. We call it as phygital. So phygital is going in a very rapid way, be it retail or be it any other industry. And the growth in terms of software, in terms of services, you can see how it is. So we have just started in terms of artificial intelligence, just 2-3 years we have started, but it is going to be a rapid thing in the future. The size, I mean, the market is huge. So which means that definitely we need to do a lot of learning. And I mean, it's a very simple thing. I'll just give you a perspective. If you just go to Wikipedia and you search for a term called, let's say, general purpose technology, GPT. So you will see that in 15th century, in 16th century, we had only one innovation, one GPT, one invention, like the printing technology, and all this technology came in 15th, 16th century. And we have one technology, one innovation in 100 years. Come to 18th century, we had around 3 to 4. Now when you see 19th century, we had around 5 to 6. We see the last century, in the last century, we had almost around 7 to 8 such GPTs. 7 to 8 such GPTs, which comprises of your computing, your internet, your mobile technology, your television. These all came in the last century. So if you see from 15th, 16th to if you see from the 20th century, in 20th century, we had 7 to 8, which means that the world was changing at the rate of almost around 20 to 23 years. So the average was almost 20 to 23 years. But now in this century, we are only 24 years old, which means we have not even crossed the quarter of the century. And if I may just count in numbers, so let's talk about the digital innovations that has happened in this century. We talk about blockchain. We talk about artificial intelligence. We talk about robotics. We talk about your drone technology. We talk about 3D printing. We talk about augmented reality. We talk about virtual reality. So I can only count almost around 8 technologies. So general purpose technologies in just 23, 24 years, which means that the average at which the technology is changing or being introduced is just 3 years. Which means that today's session that we are doing and the topics that we are going to discuss may be obsolete in next 2 to 3 years. Or we are not even able to think also of the technology that is going to come next year. That is happening, that has happened, and that is bound to happen. So if you talk about, I mean, I can give you so many examples, even if you are seeing right now on this particular screen. So this screen, so I'm using a background, as you can see. But this particular background, my image is being portrayed on a real-time basis without my background. So for example, this is a classic example of artificial intelligence. So my camera input is being taken and then it is being churned in a deep learning model. It understands my background and omits it and then shows it on screen. There are many such examples that we can actually talk about. So you have seen how AI today can generate scripts. You can see that how AI can generate videos today, pictures today. They are all a part of artificial intelligence. But digital transformation is not new. So if you talk about, let's say, when credit cards were used to the bank, that was digital transformation. When ATMs were used to the bank, it was digital transformation. When telemedicine was used to healthcare, it was digital transformation. The only thing is that these digital transformations we are seeing at a rapid way today. That's the only difference. So now what we need to do, we need to keep pace with that particular technology. So I always remember that one sentence. We say that, okay, it doesn't matter in a jungle whether you are a lion or a gazelle. When the sun comes up, you better be running. So the same thing is happening today as well. So all we need to do is to upskill ourselves, keep upskilling ourselves. There is no as such, it's not like 30, 40, 50 years back that we say that, okay, I have attained my degree and I'm all set for next 50 years. Not possible. You have to keep reskilling yourself. You have to keep skilling up yourself all the time. Now, like retail, if you talk about retail, so I'm going to give you one live example in this particular webinar today. and that might change the way you think about artificial intelligence. So just see, in next 2 to 5 minutes, I'm going to show you something phenomenal, and it will be a live demo right now on this particular webinar. This is one of the favorite topics. You talk about inventory and demand forecasting. So how does it happen actually? So we all know that all these demand forecasting, inventory, all these things happen based on past data. We agree to that. So past data is important. So how this AI works, please understand that the core of AI is data, and data is not new. So if I just go back to the scriptures, even if you see the scriptures, I mean, I'm talking about the old scriptures of Egyptian scriptures I'm talking about. You will find some scriptures which says some one line and then the tally marks. We have found it in 16th century. So which means that data was still being captured at that time. If you look at UK, so UK were already doing census in 18th century. Japan has already adopted the concepts of data in 19th century. So people have been using data for a long time now. So just imagine those data points are being fed into a system today to make sense. Definitely, AI will be more powerful. AI will be more powerful, and it is getting more powerful day by day. Now, I'm going to give you one example right over here. So if you see, this is inventory management and supply chain and store analytics, and all these things are there. Now, I'm going to show you one simple example. I hope my screen is visible to all of you. And this looks like a very simple data, sales performance. Now you see what is the power of artificial intelligence. Usually what happens is when you showcase this kind of a chart to any business, let's say business owner or anyone, CFO, CTO, or anyone, so they might ask a very simple question that, okay, I understand that in the month of May, my revenue or my income was 12.3K. And then in the next month itself, I dropped from 12.3 to 5.5. What will be the next question? The next question will be how? Can you explain? Can you explain this particular decrease from 12 to 5? So as an analyst, as a reporting, as an MIS person, you will say, okay, give me a day's time. I'll go back and then analyze it and then come back to you. This is our standard, actually standard answer. Now in front of you, I'm doing what? I'm just right-clicking over here and I ask artificial intelligence, go through this entire data of sales performance. It could be running through millions of records and analyze what happened exactly, how it became from 12.3 to 5.5. In front of you, what you see is actually an output of AI. This is an output of AI. From that same data point, it is now showing that which are the places, why this was a dip, what happened actually. So actually you can see that US did well, but due to Austria and Germany, the orders that we got from Austria and Germany, so that was not at par, and that's where we lost. The same thing happens on the reverse side also. If you just right click and you see, you say that, okay, what made this spike? I can actually click on this and it will show me that what was the reason why this spike was there. And these things are actually a part of artificial intelligence. This is a classic example of artificial intelligence. And it's not only showing me the results. And trust me, I have not made these reports. These are made randomly by AI. And it also gives me the narrative as well, saying that US and Germany accounted to the majority of increase. This is what AI is actually doing in terms of retail, or even if you say in terms of supply chain management. Getting back to our presentation. So you saw one example. There are many such examples that I can actually cite. Now, if you move from our inventory and if you move from our retail is a big sector actually. It's like a trillions of dollars of sectors actually, which means that why, if I use artificial intelligence, if I use machine learning, if I use deep learning, then the major thing is I will be able to, I'll give you a simple anecdote. This is a very simple anecdote. Let's talk from the perspective of oil. So I know that I have this much of oil beneath the, let's say, the Earth's surface. Now, if I have to pump that oil, so I need machineries. So consider those machineries as this deep learning and machine learning models. Now, if I say that, okay, if I am instructing the drilling machine, that oil rig, if I am instructing, then I would call it as machine learning. If I have just put the rig and I say that I don't know, you bring the oil based on your understanding of the depth and understanding of the oil table, then in that case, it will be deep learning. So it will understand the table, and then based on that, it will start drilling and then getting the oil. So this is the difference between machine learning and deep learning. Now, it's not about only retail. It's not about only supply chain, but AI, artificial intelligence, is also being used today in transforming financial services also. So when I say financial services, please understand, so I'm not talking about the regular banking. So banking is there for decades, for centuries now. I'm talking about financial services. So what happens in banking system? So in banking system, we have two touch points. One where money is taken and one where money is given. Now, anywhere where you actually remove the dependency of physical components, we actually are using artificial intelligence. For example, today you tap a card on a POS machine and it automatically deducts the money. It's not so easy. Within those 2 milliseconds, there are a lot of databases or data sets that are churned in that particular milliseconds time primarily. Now, during those transactions, please understand this, that during those transactions, so when you tap a card on a POS machine or on a, POS machine actually, it might take just less than 1 second and it deducts the money. But there are a lot of things. During that transaction, there are so many things that happen. So there is a concept of fraud detection also. I might be doing some fraud from that particular card. Who will come to know? How they will come to know? Like, so today's systems are so well connected. Today's systems are so well equipped with data and AI capabilities that it can do some kind of fraud detection also prior or during that particular transaction, So when you talk about all these things, so fraud detection is one of them. Then we have something called risk management as well. So risk management is important because risk management gives you a feasibility to understand that, okay, what is coming in and what is going out, and then how do we mitigate the entire, I would say the value chain system actually from the financial services. That's important. In today's world, you might have seen some of the trading companies using algorithmic trading. So I'll give you one example of AI. Consider that there are two traders, trader A and trader B. Now, trader B is a very sophisticated person, professional in doing trading. I am a novice. I have just accessed the platform. In today's world, we have got algorithmic trading, and also we have got AI agents as well, which means that so it will learn from this B professional who is very professional in doing trading, and then from there it will copy the trades for me, or it will learn from my patterns of doing the trading. So which means that your trading that you are doing can also be done using algorithms. So algorithms are not new. Algorithms have been used for a long time. So if you look at airlines also, airlines have been using algorithms for decades. None of the flights that you see today, they land without AI. They cannot land without AI. The pilots who are there inside the cockpit, they are there for 2-3 purposes. One, to monitor. Second, in case of a turbulence, they need to change the way. And then the guiding. That's it. Otherwise, the entire process is done by AI today. If you talk about self-driving cars also, they are classic examples of artificial intelligence, how artificial intelligence is being used today. Now, if you talk about financial services, so financial services also has got another component which we call it as robo-advisors. So algorithmic trading as well as robo-advisors, both these components are actually converting the regular financial services to something we call it as fintech. We are calling it as fintech. A classic example of fintech is contactless payments. So earlier, we used to go to banks, then we went to ATM. From there, we had credit card, debit card, which we had to swipe. And today, we are using something called contactless systems. Contactless systems heavily uses artificial intelligence, just for your knowledge. Now, this particular domain is huge. Just to give you a perspective of how big is this particular domain. So I would showcase the world, how it is going, the adoption rate primarily of artificial intelligence. So as you can see, the adoption in 2022, almost, I mean, people who were not using artificial intelligence was almost around 6%. But if you look at the most prominent picture over here, you can see that around 46% of, I mean, the population who are using financial services have actually adopted AI. And if you look at the next phase, which is 2025, which is the coming year, expected the next year of adoption. So you can see that AI will become a critical component of financial services by 2025. That's the expectation primarily. So please keep posting your, comments, or let's say the questions, if you have anything. So once we are done with this particular session, so we will talk about, so we have talked about financial services. We have talked about your retail. We definitely will talk about the healthcare. And also we will talk about how AI is being used in customer services also. These are the two major topics that we are going to discuss as we proceed. And definitely I'm going to showcase some of the examples, some of the, I would say, major adoption that has happened in these industries. Now moving on to the next thing, which is again a very important sector, which is healthcare. So I hope the finance business and all these things are now, I mean, you have understood just by looking at one chart, it is we can understand that the next big thing in financial services is actually artificial intelligence. There are many such use cases. I'll just give you an example of artificial use cases, AI use cases in financial services. So there is something called fraud detection that you have already seen. There are other concepts which we call it as next best offers as well, which is a part of your financial services as well, which means that based on the past data, we run algorithms to understand what should be actually offer to our customers next. If you talk about retail industry, so in retail industry, these kind of algorithms are also being used to understand the affinity between products. Just to give you an example, whenever you go to a supermarket, so if I talk about the supermarket, whenever you go to a supermarket, you might have seen that bread, milk, eggs, they are kept in one place. So maybe you can think that, okay, based on gut feeling, those particular items have been placed, but there is artificial intelligence today. I'm not talking about only eggs, breads, and milk, but there are so many products that are being shelved or that are being placed today in the store based on AI analytics, based on video analytics, based on the way customers actually move around in the supermarket. So they are using a lot of artificial intelligence algorithms to predict what the customer will buy next. That's one of the major things that is happening in these segments as well. Now, before we move to the healthcare segment, so there is one more segment. So we have been talking about this thing, which is supply chain management. And in supply chain management, one of the most important concept is inventory optimization. Nobody wants to keep inventory in their store, but it requires a lot of calculation, to understand that how to minimize that time that we use to keep our inventory in the store. So today what is happening is, so based on the data, I'm just giving you some example. Consider that there are some shipments that has to come from a particular location in, let's say, some Vietnam or somewhere, let's say all these places, to Jebel Ali, for example. Now there is a TAT for that. TAT means the turnaround time. So let's suppose it takes 30 days. Now, if that 30 days changes to 35 days, then what will happen? There will be an impact on your store. There will be impact on your warehouse. So all these things are calculated, pre-calculated, that, okay, how much time, if I can reduce my TAT, if I can optimize my inventory, if I can optimize my, let's say, I would say the channel through which I'm getting. So whether I should bring my inventory through air or ship or trucks or whatever is the possibility, how I can optimize the cost primarily, how I can reduce the cost of inventory that I'm keeping in my store. So inventory optimization goes hand in hand with demand forecasting also. So it is very important to understand that, okay, how much demand I'm going to generate out of my store. So demand forecasting, inventory optimization, and then we see that, okay, in what ways I will be actually bringing my inventory from, or moving my inventory from one place to another. Apart from that, there are other things also. Today, if you, see, there are so many things that are happening in the supply chain management. One of the major supply chain management components, or a major part, is the shipping from one place to another. Today, we are using artificial intelligence. So you know that ships actually have a concept. I mean, they have something, that issues related to biofouling. So today, AI is being used to remove biofouling from the ships. I'm talking about the deposits that happen under the sea, under the ship, actually. So artificial intelligence being used today to remove biofouling from the ships while the ship is moving at a speed which is more than 4 nautical miles. Humans cannot go. Humans cannot go to that particular place where the turbines are running and blades are moving. So today, AI is being used to monitor that, and also to actually, because there are so many things. I mean, it might look very silly, that how is that related to your entire supply chain management? Please understand that biofouling, a simple case, a simple example, that biofouling actually impacts the friction of the ship, which means that it will take more time to reach from point A to point B. It also means that it will use more fuel from one point to another point. So just by using artificial intelligence today, we can actually make the ship sail in a better way, which means that it will actually impact your entire supply chain management. It will reduce the cost. It will enhance your fuel optimization. It will also enhance the capability of predictive maintenance, which means that today AI is being used to understand actually how much time is left before the ship goes for maintenance. So those kind of things are also being used. And it is not only talking about ship. The same thing is being used for aircrafts also. The same thing is being used for heavy vehicles also. Today, IoT devices, Internet of Things, IoT devices are heavily used in any big systems actually to understand the maintenance, cycle or something like this. So there are many options and opportunities as well. But the only thing is that we need to learn more about it. And if I say that, okay, how AI is enhancing the supply chain management, these are some of the examples. So the quality control can be improved. Definitely the risk of actually, moving the inventory can be managed, and we can have enhanced security. Optimization, everybody loves to optimize inventory. That is being done today by AI heavily. There are many such examples that we can go on and on, but for, for, for the benefit of everyone, we have a short webinar. And what I'm going to do is we are at the last leg of this entire webinar, wherein the first thing that I'm going to do is to talk about how AI, because I mean, some of you might be from retail, some of you might be from finance, some of you might be from supply chain or other domains. So we try to incorporate as many use cases, as many domains. The idea is to just give a very basic signal to all of you that AI is everywhere. So irrespective of the domain, irrespective of your skill level, knowledge, there is always a way to enhance it. So that's what I thought I'll just talk about. So now we have understood that, okay, till now we have talked about retail, we have talked about supply chain, and we have talked about the business and financial services, BFSI, or financial services, for example, where artificial intelligence is heavily used for digital transformation. Digital transformation is a very big word, but today AI and other systems are heavily used in this particular segment. And now moving on to the last segment, which is actually healthcare. So healthcare actually were the early adopters of artificial intelligence. So today, if I may say, today even surgeries are done using telemedicine capabilities. So AI-based surgery, AI-based cosmetic surgery, AI-based, I mean, I'll just give you a simple example. A very, very simple example, very simple example. I hope all of you will understand what is the role of AI in healthcare. Take an example of a surgery, a knee surgery. We all know that everyone in this on this planet have different composition of body. No two people are same. They have different composition. Be it you talk about, you just put all the parameters together, you put your DNA, you put your blood group, you talk about kidney functions, everything you talk about. So every body is different. Now, what happens? Take an example that, okay, somebody got hurt and the knee, there should be a replacement or there should be a surgery on the knee, let's say. You know that when we actually do surgery on a knee, there is one equipment or there's one component that is used. It looks like a screw. Very simple example I'm giving today. There's a component which looks like a screw, which needs to be inserted inside the knee to fix it primarily. Now, this screw till, I mean, maybe few years back, was actually manufactured in mass scale, which means that it says one screw need to fit everyone, which is not the case. And you might have seen the output. If you see 10 years, 20 years back, when knee surgeries were done, so after the knee surgery, the person is still able to walk, but the person will limp a little. Why that limping happens? Because the screw that has been manufactured might not be fitting my knee 110%. So there was an impact. Today, how it is done, please understand this. Today, based on the X-ray and other parameters, other CT scans and everything, doctors are able to understand how the screw should be designed to fit your knee, not a large-scale knee. It's not anymore manufacturing of screws and devices or artificial prosthetics and all these things. It is not done today in mass scale. Please understand, they are all done through 3D printing, and 3D printing is not possible without AI. So what happens is now these parameters are fed to this 3D printer, and the 3D printer will generate those prosthetics and the screws that fits your body, exactly your body. So today, the precision at which an operation is done, a surgery is done, is much more higher than something that was done 10 years back, maybe. So I'm just giving you one example. Trust me, if I just open up this Pandora box, this will go on for the entire day. There are so many use cases around us. And what you are seeing right now, as, let's say, chat GPTs and the perplexities of the world, or the gammas of the world, or the DALI of the world, or let's say, Synthesia and all these things. You are just at the skim, at the surface level. There is lot to be learned. There is lot to be explored. And I can say a very simple, after this healthcare example, I will tell you some very good, thoughts actually, which will give you a good idea. But before that, let's talk about healthcare. So healthcare, so today AI is being used not only for predictive analytics. Predictive analytics means what? I'll give you a very simple example. Take an example of a doctor and a patient. This will give you a good example about diagnostic and treatment and all these things. So take an example of a patient and a doctor. So when the patient arrives the chamber of a doctor, so what is the first thing that happens? The doctor will ask, okay, tell me what happened, why you are here, what brings you here. So then what happens? The patient narrates the symptoms or narrates the history. That is called your descriptive data. Descriptive data means data in history, historical data. The doctor understands that. But then the doctor says that, okay, you narrated it well. I understood your problem. But I want to also know what is happening in your body right now. So then what happens? The doctor writes a diagnostic test. Why diagnostic test? The doctor wants to understand, first of all, whatever the prediction he or she has in mind, is the right prediction or not. So writes the diagnostic test. Diagnostic test is actually for insight, for right now. Then what happens? The doctor has already listened to you as a patient, and the doctor also has got the diagnostic results. Now what happens with the past data and the current data? The doctor says that, okay, everything is fine. Within 5 days, you will be all right. That's called prediction. That is called predictive analytics. The doctors have been doing predictive analytics based on their knowledge and expertise for decades and centuries now. Today, what is happening is doctors are using artificial intelligence also, because the world is, enhancing like anything. It is going spiral. Body compositions are changing in a spiral way. We have seen this pandemic and all these things. So compositions are changing in a lot of way. And also new medicines are coming, new technologies are coming. So a smart doctor will do what? The smart doctor will also use the capabilities of artificial intelligence to augment the predictive and the prescriptive things that the doctors do. So what happens after the prediction? So the doctor says that within 5 days, you will be all right. But with that, the doctor gives a prescription. That's the most important part of the entire story. So the prescription is actually the most complex part and the most value-added part also. But this entire journey is not possible if the doctor has not listened to the patient properly, the doctor has not written the right diagnostic tests, and the doctor has not done the right prediction. These all things are not a value system completely. So then what happens in today's world? I'll just give you an example. Today, there are a lot of clinical, clinics actually, who are using AI for detecting tuberculosis from an X-ray. That is being heavily used today. So what they have done is they have fed a lot of images of X-rays into the system. And it's very simple. If I talk about now, we do not need deep learning in this. I'll just give you a simple example. You do not need deep learning. You can do it with machine learning. It's very simple. What happens is, so they take 100 cases. And out of 100 cases, they do what? They take 80 cases and they train the model of AI. They say that, you know what? This X-ray belongs to, this X-ray has, let's say, this symptom. This X-ray does not have this symptom. This is a good X-ray. This is a bad X-ray. This is a bad. This is good. Good, bad, good, bad. Like this, they train the model with 80% data. Then they do what? They pull up one X-ray plate and say that, tell me whether it's a good or bad. So now what happens based on that 80% data, this model works on this 20% hypothesis model, saying that, yes, this is a good X-ray or a bad X-ray. This is the fundamental thing that AI does today in healthcare. There are many such examples. AI is being used for wound care also. So I have done a project for Australia. So this is for Victoria Hospital, Melbourne. I'll give you a simple example. They are using AI for wound care. So wound care, what happens is that just by taking a photograph of the wound, it diagnoses the wound actually, and tells that, okay, how much time is there, whether the wound is deteriorating or whether it is recovering, and how much time you have before the wound will actually get dried, or it will always be good. So AI is being used in such cases. There are many such examples, and if I may just tell you that how this entire process that I told you. So it starts from descriptive, it goes to diagnostic, then it goes to predictive, and then it actually goes to prescriptive. The opportunities are huge and the use cases are enormous. So I mean, if you talk about other segments also, if you talk about in terms of healthcare, other segments also, so people are using voice assistants, people are using AI chatbots, people are using, or businesses are using personalized recommendations. That's the most important thing. Today, I mean, you have only a span of a goldfish to touch your customer, which is almost 8 to 10 seconds. It's very important what you are showing to the customer. And there, personalized recommendations comes into picture. AI is helping to understand the customer so that the business can do personalized recommendations for the customers. So the more personalized the recommendation is, the better is the capability or the chance for the customer to buy that product or service. AI is helping a lot. Now, if you look at, let's say, if you say that, okay, there is business A and business B, both of them are using AI. So today what is happening is, one business is not competing with another business. Actually, if you think it properly, one AI model is competing with another AI model. So today, businesses are using artificial intelligence. They are making their AI models talk to each other. One business is competing with another business in terms of AI models. That's what is happening in reality today. So, I mean, with that, just I will give you the future, how things are working, what is the projections. So this, if you talk from retail perspective, the industry is that the TAM, what we call the target addressable market, is huge, almost $2.95 trillion market. And this is projection. This is bound to increase. And there's a lot of scope. So if we skill ourselves, if we reskill and upskill ourselves, so this is the market that you will be working for, or this is the market that you will be actually inside. So finance, you can see it's like a $1.2 trillion market. So all billion-dollar, trillion-dollar markets are awaiting where AI will make an impact in the next 4 to 5 years. So with that, I'll just show you some examples. If you talk about from retail perspective, I'm just giving you some examples, but for retail, apart from retail, there are other, segments also. But these are some of the companies, these are some of the brands who are using AI heavily today. So if you talk about retail, some of them are there. If you talk about, finance, JP Morgan is using artificial intelligence a lot. A lot of things are happening over there. If you talk about supply chain, so if you and me, we understand Amazon as a supply chain management company, we are wrong. So Amazon is an AI company. It's actually a data company. And some of the tech companies are actually leveraging on this AI in a big way. Just to give you a simple example, the net profit, the net annual profit of Microsoft is more than the total annual revenue of Starbucks. Just understand how tech companies are working and what's the magnitude of tech companies. So I thought, before we, close this session, I will ask, or it would be great if you could just respond to some of these questions. What is your thought on whatever we have discussed based on that? So yeah, so over to the live poll.
Thank you so much, Rupam. And I do have some questions that I would like to ask you. So I will just, transfer to you from the audience. And I do have a question probably towards the end if we have more time. First question is how to integrate Internet of Things with AI for facility management and asset management.
Okay. So very good question. So, I mean, if you see IoT is actually what a connected device. So take an example of a very simple thing. I mean, let's take an example of a facility management, which means that we are talking about maybe parking systems. Maybe we can talk about the electricity. Maybe we talk about the, let's say, the elevators. So today what happens is based on motion, based on proximity. So IoT has got some components. So one of them is proximity. So if IoT can sense whether a person is within the proximity, it can switch on or switch off a particular gadget or a device. That's a classic example of how AI can be used in facility management in terms of IoT and devices.
Okay. Another question, do you have an example for financial industry, the one which you showed for retail or similar probably to the one you showed in retail?
Currently, immediately I don't have, but yes, there are. But currently, I mean, immediately.
Maybe we can share later, Rupam, would that
Yes,
work?
yes, absolutely,
Yeah?
absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so a third question is how would HR be integrated with AI?
Wonderful question. So, just to give you a perspective, I mean, the biggest pain point of HR, one of the biggest pain point of HR, I mean, onboarding is one of them, but offboarding is a big pain point. I mean, offboarding a client or offboarding a employee. So what happens is if you, and most of the time what we have seen is this offboarding of employees requires the employee to actually go for different various kind of department for approval and all. So artificial intelligence can actually build, today AI agents are there, which can actually build these workflows depending on the past history of how the movements of emails or let's say the requests have moved in a workflow. So AI can build up those workflows and then it can reduce the offboarding process. It can also work very well with onboarding process also. Apart from that, attrition is something which is very important parameter of HR and it is being used. I mean, HR is being used heavily for that today. I'll give you an example. For attrition, there are some tendencies. If a person is not adhering to attendance, if a person is taking more I would say leaves, if a person is not adhering to roster, if a person is learning more within the organization, these are symptoms of attrition. It is humanly not possible for HR to go through all the things. So, I mean, bit by bit, what kind of learning the employee is doing, the attendance, what is the correlation of attendance, what is the satisfaction, what is the feedback that the feedback that the employee has given. So AI today is being used to churn this huge amount of data per employee depending on different parameters. And then it can predict the attrition of the employee as well in advance. And then HR can use that data to retain the employee. This is being used today.
Actually, on a related note, there's a question here now how to use AI in assessing employees or candidates' personality and cultural fit. I mean, this would be my subject matter expertise, but I would love as well from you to hear from you about things like that.
Okay, so today, I mean, just
so in the meantime, we're using AI, for example, to assess at a more granular level than the personality characteristics.
Yes.
We
So
have the
today, what is
ability.
happening is, okay, I'll just maybe I'm not able to find out the right domain. So
Right?
today we use AI in video analytics actually to assess, I mean, I would say a candidate or a profile. So what happens is exactly, so today video analytics can look at the eye movement and the speech and everything.
The
Um,
tone, right?
yes, the tone and the gibberish nature and
Yeah.
all these things. And then it can profile candidates also based
Yeah.
on that. So, I mean, based on that, it can give some scores also. It can give some INTJ scores as well. It can give
Yeah.
some other. So those all things are anyway being used today, from video, from voice also. I mean, interviews are actually taken by LLM models actually. So that is
Mm.
also there. So those
Yeah.
things,
So yeah,
example.
so there is like a change from speech to text, and then
Yeah.
the AI would go and analyze the text for the words that you have programmed it to. And on another note, however, I mean, we still have to be very careful with this, especially when recruiting, because there
Absolutely.
are some personality traits that are that would probably affect others. So, for example, neuroticism or high emotional stability, low emotional stability, which is high neuroticism, would affect other personality characteristics. So, being high on neuroticism might affect the interview overall, but the candidate could be good. So there's always a need for personal intervention or a human intervention in this in these examples. A question on how AI is being used in hospitality, agriculture, dairy, and production, and in HR. So HR we answered. So hospitality, agriculture, and dairy.
So in hospitality, so primarily what happens is it is being used to enhance customer services. So today bots are being used for customers, AI assistant bots kind of thing. So what? Just imagine every customer, every guest that comes to the hotel, you are able to give an AI assistant who can actually do or who can actually answer the regular, I would say the questions, the queries primarily. So, I mean, when is the meeting? Where is the meeting room? What are the timings of the swimming pool? So how can I book a spa, or I mean, how to switch on the this system, that system within the room? They all are being done today by chatbots. So what is happening is the customer experience is increasing. When you receive a guest at the reception of the hotel, if you say that okay, you can just scan this QR code and you will get a AI assistant, a butler, a personalized butler for you till the time you are there with us. Imagine the delight that the customer or the visitor will get. That is happening today. There are many hotels who are actually using, but at the same time, we need to understand that there's always a need of personal touch in hospitality. There is always a need for personal touch as well. So it is always better to have a hybrid model, kind of. It's not only AI, but it should be AI plus some personalized systems as well. That is important. You talk about agriculture. So
Mm.
agriculture, classic example, if you talk about even in Dubai as well. So how is all these landscaping and these trees that you see, how they are working, how they are growing, how they are blooming? Without artificial intelligence systems, it's a bit difficult. So today, precision agriculture is very, very important. So what happens is everywhere on Sheikh Zayed Road also, if you see those landscaping places, they have sensors. They have soil moisture sensors are there, which actually understands the moisture content of the soil and the benchmark that is required for the plant to grow. And then it turns on the water, and it also signals the department to take care of that particular tree or that landscaping area actually. So AI is being heavily used in agriculture as well today. So yeah, these are the two segments primarily.
Excellent. AI accuracy and the governance. I think, is it the person who uses it or an outside official? And does the human still be required to check the AI data production? Before you answer, I would say we need somebody to check the input for the AI before we look at the introduction, because there's a lot of bias there, I assume.
Absolutely. So the terminology that we started with, I mean, when computers came. So Charles Babbage, he once said that computer is dumb machine. Garbage in and garbage out. It's very simple process. So that if the data that you are putting has got value, then the information and AI, whatever you run on top of it, will have value. Coming to the governance, which is very important part. So we have to remember today, I mean, with AI, onset of AI, there are so many other things which are coming with AI as well. Deepfakes is one of the biggest problem and challenges in the world of AI. But how it can be? How it can be? So regulation is very important. So remember when currency, when money was introduced to the system, right? So if governance was not there, every day people will just print out money and then go out and then use it, right? So there was a very tough and very stringent governance that was brought in with the rollout of currency and money. The same kind of governance is required. So anything that the fake and all these fake news, fake reports and all these things, it needs to be governed. That's the most important thing. And also AI can never replace humans. So what happens is AI needs to be augmented. So AI can be our companion. AI should be our companion, our friend. That's it. If I am able to travel from point A to point B in 5 hours, with AI, I should be able to do it in 2 hours. But that is the only thing that AI should be actually allowed to do. So there's a lot of governance that is required over there as well. And I can give you one simple example. You talked about finance. You talk about crypto. So remember when crypto and bitcoins and all these things were introduced to the market, the fundamental objective was decentralization. But then when it was introduced, you saw that there were some big players who became the centralized component of this entire Bitcoin and crypto kind of thing. So it went down, kind of, right? So it's very, very important. Today, the internet is kind of decentralized. We need such kind of a system where governance is also there, but decentralization is also there. Then only AI can thrive and go to the next level. But it is possible. It is actually happening. It is growing at a very faster rate. But yes, that's what the future of AI looks like today.
So I think we have to take a few more questions, or there are many questions, but very quickly. What are the computer languages used for deep learning, and can it be done by Python also?
Yes, so absolutely. So deep learning, the major language that is being used today is Python. So I would say 80 to 90% places it is Python. However, there are other new, platforms that are also coming in the market today, which are no code and low code concepts actually. But end of the day, Python has come up as a very big, platform and language for deep learning models primarily.
Another question says how to control the credibility of the AI in healthcare, and do we need to do period maintenance or auditing to maintain the AI outputs? I think we answered something similar, but how about in healthcare?
So there are two things primarily. So AI cannot be just let open that, okay, you do and I trust everything, whatever you say. So today we will do a big mistake if you go to ChatGPT and trust all the things that ChatGPT is saying. So it is always required to validate those answers. That is very important. So now today we have to understand that it's a massive, it's an ocean of data. So it's very important that whatever is being said or whatever is being given as an output from a system, if I'm just talking about healthcare, take an example. So in healthcare, let's say, based on an X-ray, based on examination, the AI says that this person will be is diagnosed with this particular ailment or something. But there is a massive requirement of a physical doctor to validate that. That is important. If you don't do that, see, please understand, very important thing, very, very important thing now, what I'm going to say. AI, it's a deep learning model. This, whatever we're talking about in healthcare. When this deep learning gives you an answer saying that there's an ailment in a particular person, if you accept that without knowing or without doing proper research, actually you are feeding wrong signals to the AI. So AI will understand that I did it right. So that's going to be a massive problem. So we as humans need to train and tell AI whether you are going in the right direction or wrong direction. If we do not do it today, we might go in a very different route altogether. So that is very important, actually.
Actually, related to healthcare, Dr. Khalid again asks a question: do you consider all AI in healthcare to be successful and or successful to be used? And how to evaluate any AI system, and what are the measurement values or criteria? So how would you identify which is a better AI to use within healthcare?
So there is, I mean, we cannot use any off-the-shelf AI. There's nothing called off-the-shelf AI. So what we usually do is, I'll just give you a simple example. So today we want to, suppose you have you run a hospital, and you run a clinic, and you want to use artificial intelligence. There are many ways. So first way is that, okay, I want to predict how many patients will come to my clinic today. This is also AI, right? So that level of AI is fine, absolutely. So if your system predicts that based on the parameters outside, based on the footfall, based on people, based on weather conditions, it's very simple. It's a very simple concept. So take an example, past 3 years data you feed to your AI, saying that if the temperature of UAE is this many degrees, the footfall of my clinic was this many people. If you tell this, then AI can actually predict how many customers will come tomorrow, or how many patients will visit your hospital tomorrow. That is one set of AI, which is very safe AI, because even if 5 patients don't come tomorrow, or 5 patients come more tomorrow, that's not going to impact the world. But then take an example of something wherein you say that, okay, you are actually using AI to predict the DNA, or let's say some kind of surgery outcomes or something, or the vein movement, or let's say, or take an example, a very classic example. The COVID vaccines. That's a classic example of AI. Usually, a vaccine to come to the market, it might take around 6 to 7 years. Why? Because it has to it has to go through several iterations, several places, several tests before it comes to the market. And I have seen those examples, actually. I've seen those pharmaceutical places where the medicines are made. First, it is made in 5 ml, then it is made in 20 ml, then it is made in 1 liter, then it is made in kiloliter, something like this, just to see whether the efficacy of that particular medicine is same when it is produced in mass. Now, during the COVID, during the pandemic, during the vaccination process, we did not have that scope of 5-6 years to test this entire thing. So what happened was, synthetic data was actually generated from the system. So say that, okay, if I use this vaccine in so many places or in this particular composition, then what will have an impact? What will impact to the patient? Their AI was used actually. But yes, there was administration. There was administration of doctors and healthcare experts who actually vouched that, who actually used mathematical formulas to understand the efficacy of the algorithm. So that was actually done. So usually what happens in any AI, whether it's in healthcare or any other places, so usually they take 80% of the data to train this algorithm or the hypothesis, and then they use 5 to 10 or 20% of the data to test that particular algorithm. So if the hypothesis is correct, then they say that, okay, the efficacy of the algorithm is good. That's how it works, actually.
Okay, so I think we have 2 more questions. The first one is, how can we use or how AI can be implemented in projects, in like scheduling project work, for example.
Wonderful. So that's again a very good question, I must appreciate. So I often see, I mean, definitely, I mean, in Dubai, I've seen, I mean, construction is everywhere, definitely. And one thing which is prominent in construction or civil work is the usage of JCBs and the scaffoldings. Today, what happens is because there is only human calculation and bit of Excel and BIM technology, all these building information systems are there. So these calculations of movement of scaffoldings from one location to another location is done on a manual intervention basis. Imagine if you put, I'm just giving you a very simple example. You put BIM data and you put your inventory of scaffoldings and your cement bricks and mortars and all your GCB's data in one system. And then you say that, okay, when is my project starting and when is my project ending? And then based on BIM, it will say that, okay, when is the right time for the scaffolding to be used and removed? The moment, so just imagine, today what happens is this scaffoldings, after being pulled out from that site, goes to depot or goes to a warehouse. From there, it goes back again to a location. Movement of this scaffolding from one place to depot and back is a cost. This cost is being, I mean, actually given by the customer today. Just by using AI, you can reduce the movement of the scaffolding from one project to another, thus by reducing actually the cost of construction. That's a classic example of AI that can be used in construction or civil works.
Okay, wonderful. I think what AI methods are most effective in automating data transformation workflows for large data sets, and how do they ensure accuracy and efficiency?
There are many, I mean, methods actually. There is no as such one method or something. So there are many methods that are used in today's scenario. If I'll just give you a few examples. Most of the big business houses today, they use forecasting methods for budget forecasting. So I'll just give you how it works, I'd say. So I mean, one of the big conglomerates in UAE, so I have implemented this. That's why I can tell you in confidence. So how it happens is, suppose forecasting. So they have around 200 stores across the Middle East. So now what happens is, so their finance team is already doing budgeting for the next year. Now what we did was, we used the last 10 years of data actually to forecast for the next year. How did we do it? We used time series algorithms. Time series algorithms for forecasting. Now, while we were doing this time series forecasting, so we realized that there are some issues. Issues where I'll just give you one example, and you can go back and check this particular algorithm. No, there is only one algorithm on this planet today which can actually take the impact of non-cyclic events. I'll just give you an example of, let's say, Ramadan. Ramadan happens every year, but there is a difference of 2 weeks. No algorithm in this world, there's only one algorithm. Apart from that, there is no algorithm in this world which can actually understand the impact of Ramadan shifting 2 weeks prior. And it can take the impact of weather and all the other things and the peak time and all these things. So there is one algorithm called Prophet. This Prophet algorithm is being used heavily by Facebook today. And the same algorithm is being used today by retail industry and some of the big businesses today to actually give or incorporate the impact of let's say, holidays, or let's say impact of irregularities in cyclic terms actually for predicting or doing the forecast. So now this is one part of it, doing the forecasting. But then what happened is how this is implemented into the business. Please understand this very important thing. So let's take an example. We are in November today, and then we forecasted next year's budget. The finance department also did this, and the AI also did this. Now what happens from January? FF1, FF2, and all these things are matched. What is done by AI and what is done by finance. And then they are parallelly run. And then the input, the predictive model is backfed with that particular data. That is how the entire process of AI actually works. This is how the efficacy of the models are actually understood and measured, you can say.
What role does NLP play in transforming unstructured text data? And how does AI ensure the clean conversion of such data into structured formats?
Yes, good question. So, I mean, NLP actually is being used heavily today. So how it works is, so we have two types of data. One is called structured data and one is called unstructured data. So when I say structured data, your Excel data, your database data, and all these things are structured data. But there's another set of data, which is like your email. Your email is a classic example of unstructured data. Your YouTube videos is a classic example of unstructured data. Your TikTok, your Instagram, or your YouTube, and all these things are your likes and subscribes, your comments and RSS feeds and everything. They all are unstructured data. But then how it is possible by AI systems to give you recommendation based on that? So what happens is every time, and it is a huge process, it understands first understands a word, then understands the sentence, and then from that sentence it picks up a tag. So suppose if I say is that today it is hot in let's say Kenya. I'm just giving you some example. So it will pick up the words hot and Kenya as taglines, and then it will store it in a database. So it will put the date, Kenya, hot as one record. Like that, it will churn multiple millions of records in one database. So if you talk about even video is saved in database in the forms of bits and bytes. Actually, it is broken down into small codes and packets actually. So in NLP, what happens is there is a concept of token actually. So it's very simple. It tries to predict what you will write next. It's very simple. So if you are typing, let's say, I want to. So I want to, you are writing, but after that, what you will write, it is going to predict. And it is predicting through a lot of models. Lot of models in the sense, what you have written in the past. I want to swim. I want to travel. I want to ride. Based on that, it has read so many books. Just to give you an example, your ChatGPT has gone through all the Harry Potter books. It has gone through all the journals. It has gone through all the novels and your Lord of the Rings and all these, whatever documents is available on the internet. And it is going through this over day and night, actually. And there are big servers that are storing this data in and out. And how it is being stored? It is being stored in the form of tokens. Small tokens it is being served, actually. So when you write something or when you read something or when you type something, so then what happens? It immediately goes through all these tokens and tries to generate the next thing. That's what ChatGPT and all these NLPs are actually. So kind of, I would say, language processing servers primarily, but ultimately they are converting these words in a data structure format itself. But it's a bit different than the regular Oracle and Microsoft databases that you see. It's a different structure.
Just quickly, can you provide examples of applications and programs similar to ChatGPT? I think Perplexia, Claude, not Diamond. I can, and there's now an interesting one actually. I've seen the Notebook LM by Google, and it's free. It actually holds a lot of references. So if you have like 10 things that you want to insert into one, and they can analyze all of them and can provide you some information that you request. It can actually create what do you call them? The podcasts Actually, if you give it a topic, it creates a podcast, a discussion between two people, and it's absolutely free. It's called notebooklm.google. Yeah,
Yes.
.google. Yeah. I don't
Okay.
know if you want to add something. Sorry, I hijacked that question, but
Yes, absolutely. So there is Perplexity, there is Claude, and in fact, I was just going through one LLM model called PDF.ai. So
okay,
it
yeah.
can just take a PDF and then you can start asking questions from that PDF.
Yeah.
So
But you can do the
uh,
same thing with others as well. I'm
others
not.
as well, absolutely. So these systems are learning a lot, so from videos and from audios and so many things, and it can generate also. Today
Uh,
we have systems through which if I give 5 to 10 images of mine, so it will generate other images of mine as well. So this
yeah.
is
Oh
possible.
wow.
And by the way, this is not a new technology. So if I see 15 years back, Facebook had introduced a challenge, if you remember, that can you identify yourself in Facebook in a childhood picture? So you actually tag it. You said that, okay, I looked like this in my childhood.
Yeah.
That was actually a trick by Facebook to learn or train their AI models. So we
Ah.
started it. So we humans actually used our time to train the model of Facebook. And today Facebook can actually generate pictures like anything. So that's the game. So that's the game
Yeah.
primarily.
So can you briefly, and somebody just mentioned that there is also an AI called character.ai and many more, but thank you for that. Can you brief more on how AI support banking business?
So the first and foremost important thing that the banks are doing and can do actually is to use LLM or generative AI bots to give very basic answers to the questions or the customers primarily. So that is being done today. And also some of the banks have used generative AI within the banking system, not for external customers, within the banking system. You see, policies are changing every day. Compliances are changing every day. So it is very difficult for a human to keep pace with all the changing, policies and everything. So today, generative AI is being used within the banks also to just be updated kind of thing. That's a classic example of AI which is being used in banking today because regulations and policies are at topmost actually.
We have two questions. The first one is very easy. Will you share the slides?
Yes.
Okay, and then the last question actually is, um, can AI predict the salaries for new employees,
Absolutely.
adjusting the existing and promotions, adjusting the existing salaries of existing employees and for promotions? The data will be from global data sets or locally collected in. So that's a question. Will the data be from global data sets or locally collected in the organization?
Okay. So, see, today we have open data models. I'll just give you an example. Glassdoor actually provides API. So you can have access to the entire world's salary structure, which people have already entered, and then you can train that model. So there are two things. Always remember there are two things. First is your internal data, and then second is external data. First of all, you use your internal data of last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to predict the salary of the newcomer. Also, what happens is you can put weightage and then you can put external data like as we discussed. So APIs are there, external APIs are there, which can be used to actually combine internal and external weightage data to predict the salary. It's not about only salary. There are so many other components also that can be actually predicted, that can be actually classified. You can cluster employees based on their learning patterns, their usage patterns, their, work patterns, productivity patterns, and all these things you can classify and cluster employees as well. And then on top of that, you can use employee data to predict the salaries and, payouts and other things.
Okay, so I think we have one. There's a new question here. What languages are AI algorithms written in? And does Python work as a wrapper
Yeah.
on top of
So I
them?
think we took the same question earlier.
Yes,
So same, yes,
for that.
it's
And
Python that is used massively today. So I mean, so Python has got so many packages today which can be used for training the algorithms as well. So actually, it has got computer vision. It has got your regular LLM models. You have pandas, keras. You have so many libraries which can be used readily today, and they are actually becoming powerful every day by learning. You can leverage that particular those libraries to build your own algorithms. So that's the most powerful language today, which is available for building up algorithms actually.
has my question been answered? Suma, your question was, and she said, this question, how can a pharmacist, yes. So how can a pharmacist benefit from AI in various areas of their work?
Okay, so
I think
pharmacist.
this is a paid question, I think should be.
So I'll just give you one example. There was a startup called the Bill Pack. So what they were doing is they were actually segregating the medicines and putting it into small packs for patients to take. That company was bought by Amazon with $1.2 billion. So the impact was very simple. Not simple, I would say enormous. So what they did was they used artificial intelligence to understand the composition. It looks very simple that, okay, you take the medicine prescription and then you put the dosage and then you give it to the customers. But at mass scale, it is very difficult to actually do the inventory and the customer sizing also. So actually, AI is being heavily used in pharmaceuticals to do these kind of mundane tasks and then to optimize, I would say, customer satisfaction index or something like this. That's one of the use cases, but there are many. But yes, we can connect and then I can take it up separately as well.
Okay, I think that brings us to Mr. Assam Al-Din says, thank you for the informative webinar, AI Digital Transformation. It was inside, especially the examples on AI across various industries. Could you please share the presentation slides? We will. And looking forward to your site. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rupam. I think the only question I have left is this Minority Report. I don't know if you remember this movie, Tom Cruise, some time ago, where you can actually predict that somebody is going to commit a crime and you can take legal action against them. How far are we from this? I think this is more of a philosophical question than of. So I'm interested more or less in the ethics of the use of AI, and we people, humans, have tendency to weaponize things. There isn't anything I think that we haven't weaponized. I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and I held the microphone. I said, "Think of 5 things you can do with that." The highest response was, how many of you thought of hitting somebody with it and hurting them? There was like most hands in the room that they thought of hitting somebody with, use it as a weapon practically. So that's probably the biggest concern that we have to look out for in the future is the ethical use of AI.
The most dangerous thing that I can see is that in our history of mankind, of humankind, we have never seen any system that can do things of its own. Even I'm just giving an example, the worst example, even if it is a nuclear bomb, a human has to trigger it.
Yeah.
This is first time happening in humankind that AI is taking decisions and AI is doing things of its own. So some system is actually generating systems of its own. This is, very dangerous. If we do not control how much AI can do and how much AI should do, how much we depend and how much we don't depend. So that is very important. That is a very important factor to consider primarily today.
AI will govern the human. It is possible. We've seen Terminator movies. We've seen all kind of movies that actually predict this future. I don't think it came out of vain. But let's wait for the UFOs as well. So, although it'll be an interesting thing, because my son think if UFOs come, are they going to destroy the world? I said, well, they don't need to destroy it. They just throw a virus in the air and we all die. That's simple. Don't have to a war, right? So anyway, Rupam, I heartfully thank you for this very informative session. I really enjoyed it myself, and I'm sure everybody else. And I can see from the questions that have been posed that there's been a lot of engagement. So thank you so much for being our guest, and we look forward to hosting you again in the future.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks everyone for having me, and thanks Ravi and Joy for hosting me today. And it was equally an interesting session, and a lot of good questions came up, and good thoughts actually, and good to see everyone interacting. Thank you so much for having me. Have a nice day. Thank you.
And we extend our thank for all the audience, and we look again to see you next month. And don't forget about scanning the or going and logging into GoLearning. A lot of things that we can learn as well from there. And hope you have a great week and weekend, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.